Hi everyone, thank you so much for joining me. I just love making these videos for YouTube, and I love creating a community of people who want to work on themselves and to heal. That's why I'm here. My name is Renee, and I help people to heal from codependency and to learn how to love themselves. I wanted to address a couple of things in today's video, and I'm going to kind of attempt to tie it all together. The first thing is about vulnerability. So if you've been watching my channel, you know I share a lot about my own experiences, and I share a lot about my own failures, you could say, and my own experiences in healing from codependency, from food issues and addiction to food and controlling food and other things like that. And a number of people over the years have remarked to me that I'm very brave for sharing this publicly. And to me, I don't feel like I'm being brave. I'm not trying to be brave. I am simply just being myself. One of my strengths is talking about feelings and talking about these difficult things. It's not hard for me to do. And I do so in effort to help people relate and to see maybe some part of themselves in my stories so that they can then, progress on their own healing journey. The other thing that I think is that the way the world sees vulnerability, which is to see it as a weakness, is completely and totally backwards. And I'm operating off of that premise that it's backwards. I see vulnerability as going through life asleep, going through life not knowing yourself, not doing your work, not knowing your, I don't want to call them shortcomings, but like not knowing those darker parts of yourself and reacting and going around through life projecting onto other people and deflecting so that you never have to look at yourself. That to me is vulnerability. To me, to be open and to know your stuff, to know your shit, is strength. To be able to talk about it from a place of acceptance and to say, yep, I know I have this issue, I work on it, and I'm probably going to be working on it for my whole life. This is my life path. This is my part of my life's work. To me, that is strength. And that's what I go off of. To me, that is the warrior's path, is facing your shit, looking at yourself, and not just looking at it and not to judge yourself from it or about it, but to learn to accept it. Yep, this is where I came from. Yep, these are some of the things I deal with. And it doesn't make me a lesser person. It doesn't make me a bad person. There's nothing wrong with me. Because you know what? You got your shit too. You're not so perfect either. We all do. And we go through life, almost as like we got these secrets, like, maybe you have an issue with alcohol, or you have or had an issue with drugs, or you have some, messed up relationship or enmeshed relationship with your family or whatever. We all have our shit. So we go through life acting like we're all perfect and like we don't have that, because we live in a world that does not foster and encourage that kind of openness. It does not provide the space. In fact, we judge it. So, that's just my stance on vulnerability, because in order for us to heal and work on crap like codependency, we have to be vulnerable. Hell, I just moved to a new state where I don't know anybody. Do you think I'm vulnerable? I am very vulnerable. But I see it as I have a beginner's mind. I'm a sponge. Everything I see, everyone I meet is new. Everything is a blank slate. I don't know anything. When locals talk about certain things in town, I have to say, hey, I'm new here. What are you talking about? Because I don't know. Oh, it's some kind of restaurant or whatever. So it's a neat experience. When we look at ourselves, at those darker parts of ourselves, there's nothing wrong with us. There's nothing bad. When I first was learning about codependency and starting to see that I had a lot of these traits that make up someone who is codependent, I was mortified. And I felt horrible about myself. I mean, I judged myself harshly. I don't anymore. But I thought, God, that's awful. I mean, that's just horrible. And I had so much shame around it. And I want you to know, if you are going through that healing process, there's no shame in it. Because a lot of us have these traits, and you can heal from it. I have healed tremendously from it, and it's something I continue to work on every day. And I didn't always know that this was going on, because how do you heal something and work on something before you know that you have that issue? At some point, we go through life and we have a certain amount of denial. We're going through patterns we're not conscious. And then at some point, something or a sequence of things happens over a course of years where it starts to become known to us. Maybe you look back and you see a pattern, like you see a pattern in your relationships, a pattern in your jobs, a pattern in any way in your behavior, a pattern in how you treat your body, a pattern in using substances in different situations, whatever it is. Or maybe synchronistic events happen that start to make you pay attention and question. I remember one time years ago, I was watching, it was a trailer for a particular movie, and there was even something in the trailer of that movie that reflected back to me a part of myself I didn't want to look at, and it bugged me. And it bugged me so much that not only would I not watch the movie for like 2 years, but I even put it down. So the fact that I was even criticizing this movie that I had never seen, and like, oh, it's so stupid, was kind of, I didn't realize that at that time I was in denial, but it wasn't until like 2 years later that I actually watched the movie, and now it's one of the movies that I love, and I watched it many, many times. But the main character was reflecting a behavior pattern in relationships that I had also in my own life. Another interesting event that happened for me, which was a synchronistic event, was I was watching someone else that I follow on YouTube, and she was doing a video on codependency. I was watching it on my laptop. I had my phone next to me, and then all of a sudden, Siri on the phone perks up and repeated a line that it heard in the video, which was about a behavior pattern in relationships. And I was floored. And it did that twice in that video. And it was like my angels and my spirit guides were saying, hey, yo, Renee, pay attention to this. You need to heal this. And it's a moment I never, ever forgot. So, we may have events like that, that start to bring to our awareness that, hey, we need to pay attention to what is going on. And, to this behavior pattern, this cycle that we're in that we don't see. One thing I want to say about codependency is that it is not your fault. You are not bad. In fact, you learned that you were bad. If you have codependent behavior patterns, you learned and internalized a deep, deep amount of shame. I have said in other videos that if we have codependency, it isn't at its root, it's a deep lack of self-love, and that is true. There is also a tremendous amount of shame, of self-hatred, of feeling like you are bad. Not that you did something bad, but who you are is not okay. Who you are is not good enough and never will be good enough. And that who you are is bad, that no one would ever want you. When we learn to be codependent, there is almost always a tremendous element of abandonment that taught us this. We were abandoned emotionally, physically, or both by our parents, by our caretakers. And because those needs weren't met, we learned instead that, well, if I try harder, be better, be the perfect child, the perfect son, or the perfect daughter, or get the right grades, or dress the right way, or have, say the right things, and I'm in the right mood, when they want me to be in that mood, they'll love me. And here's how we learn to people please. Because underneath it is this painful, painful wound of abandonment. And that is something that you did not deserve. You did nothing bad. You just learned how to cope with the pain of abandonment. And likely, if you were abandoned once, You are abandoned constantly over years. That's how it works. And from repeated times of being abandoned, that's traumatizing, to the child within us, the 5-year-old, the 8-year-old, the 12-year-old, whatever, you learned that you're not safe. You learned that I have to be perfect. I have to be who they want me to be. I have to tiptoe around their moods, their feelings. What mood are they in now? Because that was how we stayed safe. That was how we got our needs met. And it came at the price of you. It came at the expense of you developing yourself. So later in life, we get into relationships, and what do? We do the same thing that we learned as a child, because that's all we know. We haven't had healthy relationship modeled for us. We don't know what we think. We don't know what we feel. What we do know is how the other person feels. You are acutely aware of what the other person is feeling, because you learned to be hyper aware of what is going on around you, of the energy of the people around you, what mood they're in, how they're feeling, what are they doing, where are they doing, when is danger coming in next, or is there a threat of danger? So you learn to pay attention to all those cues, subtle things, so that you could manage and live in this very unloving environment. So it's a lot, so when we get into our relationships, what we can, if we learn these kinds of people-pleasing, approval-seeking behavior, is we then get into a relationship with a partner and find that this doesn't work. In fact, you still are searching you still don't have yourself, and you're all about the other person, all about compliance, all about control, so that you can feel okay. If I know what everyone's doing and what they're up to and what, then you can feel okay. So these are things that we can heal. And when you start to bring your awareness to them, man, oh God, I can look back at my own experience and healing from this, and I know that when those moments came where I had that clarity and that awareness, like, oh fuck, like, yeah, I do that, I have done that, but then at the same time I can also say, I see where that comes from, and to choose not to judge myself because it was something that was learned. You weren't born that way. Like I said before, I want to just bring home, this isn't unique. Codependency is not unique. Some people attach to a substance. They attach to alcohol. They attach to drugs. Some people when we're codependent, we attach to people. So it's not that you did something wrong. It's an indicator of a deep childhood wound. And this is why we got to go back and heal that inner child within us and love who we are. And loving who we are means that we get to find out what we like. We get to find out what we want. And we can say, no, I don't want that, or no, I'm not going to date someone who treats me this or that way, or who has certain traits, or I don't have to change who I am to be in a relationship with someone. And if someone doesn't like the way I look, or there are certain traits about me, that's fine. They don't have to. You can declare that you don't have to please everybody. And that is a wonderfully freeing thought. And as you come more into yourself and find who you truly are, not the people pleaser, not the doormat, not the one who's trying to get everyone to like her and approve of her or him, you will start to attract those people who love you and like you, want to be around you for who you are. So it's okay to say no and to turn down what maybe years ago, you could not have turned down, or you didn't know how to. Loving ourselves means taking care of ourselves and not feeling guilty. It means saying no when we don't want to do something or take something on, or someone says, hey, can you help out with this? Or can you do this or this for me? And if you can't at that moment, it means don't feel bad about it. Loving yourself means honoring your needs and your wants, and to let go of resentment. Because when we honor ourselves, there's no room for resentment. If you acquiesce and agree to every offer or request that comes along, and you're just giving yourself away and giving yourself away, and then feeling like you just allowed people to take from you, you feel used, you feel like you let people take advantage of you, that means you're not honoring yourself. And if you're feeling resentful of those people that like, hey, I'm not even able to give myself what I'm giving you, that is an indicator that you need to go back, pull your energy back in, and allow yourself to say no, to stand up for yourself. When we're raised in an environment where we learn codependency and people pleasing, we learned that we cannot say no. Our boundaries are completely wide open, and that you're just there for, to give to everyone else, to serve everyone else but you. And this has to stop. And it stops when we decide to stop judging ourselves for our feelings, when we stop judging ourselves for, saying no. Stop judging yourself for taking care of yourself or do something for yourself. If it means you need a couple hours to just chill and relax on the couch and rest, or you need some time just for you, or you need to take a weekend for yourself and not be worrying about everybody else, that is okay. Those are just a couple examples of many. So we got to stop judging ourselves. And notice when we start to think things, and I find with myself, I will catch myself. Maybe I do or say something that I could have done better, and then I just start beating myself up. This happened recently, and I said, you know what? I said, Renee, stop. Just drop it. Just drop it. Just stop. I said, why do you care what that dude thinks? I don't even know that guy. So we can just say to ourselves, when we start to notice it, I'm going to choose not to beat myself up. This is dumb, and it's not worth giving another minute of my time to. We can stop overthinking and stop judging ourselves. So just some thoughts for you for this week on vulnerability, some traits of codependency, and how we can heal it. And we can heal. If there's anything I want you to know, I'm proof. I've shared some of my experiences with you of how I found this out and how I've healed it, and I continue to work on it and always will. So that is it. I sincerely hope that this helps you on your journey of healing. If you have any questions or comments, please leave it for me below the video. And as always, I am humbled that you choose to watch. I know you have many options. So thank you very much, and I will see you soon. Thanks, everyone.